Hey party people, welcome to another video. Today's topic is clear coat, specifically car clear coat. I want to answer 3 questions for you. What is it? What does it do? And what do you need to know as a car owner? So let's go in for a dive and see if we can learn a little something. And here we have the lovely back end of our model for today. And you can see how destroyed the clear coat is on this car. But many of you would call this paint. You would come out and say, oh wow, the paint on your car is trashed. When in fact, that is clear coat we're looking at that is trashed. This is what we would call in the industry complete clear coat failure. Let's answer those questions for you. Question number 1, what is clear coat? Specifically clear coat on your car. So it is exactly as the name suggests. It is a clear coating that is the top layer of a paint system. Now I call it a paint system because it is a system of layers that make up your car paint. Most people just generally refer to it as car paint, but that's where the industry likes to confuse and complicate things for you. Why do they do it? Well, it's always a goal to separate you from as much of your money as possible. As a basic understanding, it is the top layer of any factory manufactured car. So there is a difference between repaint and factory original clear coat. I can guarantee you that any car produced today that rolls off the assembly line will have a clear coat as the top layer of your paint job. Now, to make things very simple in the moment, you can refer to clear coat as a form of car paint with no color added to it, no pigments. Which would then lead us into the very next question, which is, what does clear coat do? 2 specific things: visual enhancement and protection. Let me tell you what that means to you. You'll notice that in these shots that I've shown of the deck lid of this car, that we have this area here where we have complete clear coat failure. And when we have over here is non-clear coat failure, you will notice that there's a different shine to it. I'm going to pull in for a close-up view, and I'm going to explain a few things for you. Here is our line of demarcation. Clear coat, original factory clear coat, complete clear coat failure. Now you'll notice this line of light. You'll see how over here it is glossier. Over here is matte finish, less glossy, as in almost no gloss. So that is the visual enhancement that clear coat creates. Believe it or not, when they paint your car at the factory, it will look dull and matte finish like this. Not exactly like this, but like this. So the clear coat, when they apply it, it applies depth, shine, gloss, call it what you want. But what we do know is that it is wanted. This, as a rule, is much better than that. Now we can talk about the second element, key factor of car clear coat, and that is protection. Specifically, what it is going to protect your car from, as in the underlying paint color of your car, is UV lighting. Now, unless you're a plant, the sun is damaging. Just look at me, for instance. I've been in the sun way too much, very damaging. So the clear coat actually has chemicals in it. Yes, I have found this out recently, and by recently, in the past few years, is the specific chemicals that manufacturers of paint systems, not car manufacturers, but car paint manufacturers, color coats, which are often called base coat, clear coats, primer coats, those types of things. So there's chemicals that they can add to their formulations that will filter out UV lighting. But what you need to know about that, because that is a critical form of protection, is that the ingredients in the paint formulation, or specifically the clear coat formulation, is important, But what's also equally as important is the thickness in which the clear coat has been applied at the factory. The problem is this: the factory, as in a car manufacturer, pick your favorite one, insert in the blank here, the truck or the car will come with a 3 mil layer of clear coat on it. Okay, those are words you're never going to hear from a car manufacturer or a truck manufacturer. Why is that? Would you not think they would want us to know? This comes down to the bean counters. It's called your P&L statement, your profit and loss. So what the car manufacturers will do is they will put on just enough clear coat, will fully protect the car for X amount of years under normal UV exposure, whatever that is. Now there's certain metrics that they can use to judge that and come to a determination of that, but they're never going to tell you how thick that actually is, because then you can actually compare numbers with other car manufacturers if in fact this was a deep concern of yours, which I know if you're watching this video, chances are it probably is. But I'm pretty sure most people don't go shopping for cars and try to compare thickness of clear coat so that they can see how well their paint job is going to withstand the effects of long-term exposure to the sun. It's just not going to happen. They don't want you having that information. And in most cases, it's irrelevant, because you know that clear coat needs maintenance like anything else in life does. So just accept that you won't know for certain, but just know your car will have clear coat on it. Virtually 99.99999% of every car or truck or van that rolls off the assembly line will be finished with a clear coat as the top layer. This is different than what is referred to as single stage paint from back in the day. And by back in the day, I mean pre-1980s. That's when clear coat was introduced initially, which is what we refer to in the industry as two-stage paint. So the first stage would be the base coat or the color coat. That's a term that's interchangeable depending upon who you're talking to. So stage 1, the color coat; stage 2, the clear coat. Paint manufacturers had to respond to increasingly tighter and tighter air quality requirements. They responded by developing this clear coat two-stage paint system, which allowed them to comply with air quality regulations. But every car manufacturer did not embrace it on every single car, on every single car paint color. It was introduced first on the metallics. Anyone that's old enough, like myself, that remembers the initial 80s metallic paint jobs, specifically silver, was horrid. They burnt out. And that's a term that's associated with clear coats, is burning out versus oxidation. So oxidation, when a paint job becomes dull, faded, and kind of chalky, that is referring to single stage paint of, decades ago prior to the 80s. Now with clear coat, the concern is different. Now we have things called burnout, like this, complete failure, like this. Clear coat can blister, it can peel, bubble, crack. There's all kinds of things it can do, but the overall visual appearance, it's not going to oxidize like single stage paint jobs of old would. They're not going to become chalky. They will lose some luster and shine, but really what you're dealing with is what we would call swirl marks, wash, scratch, as in car washing, as in the scratches introduced into your paint or clear coat, specifically in the process of just normal care and maintenance, car washing, car waxing, car polishing. So over time, if you don't use safe methods, you will introduce unwanted scratching. That's a whole entire video series for another time. Since we're talking about protection, let's talk about the overall protection that clear coat provides for your color or base coat of your car paint system, which is just overall protection from exposure to the elements. So to reduce that and wrap it up on this point of the video, protection, visual enhancement. So you can think of Clearcoat in other applications of life and Clearcoats in general. For example, wood cabinets or wood furniture where you apply a varnish. That enhances the gloss and it adds a layer of protection between the elements of life and the wood furniture or the wood cabinets. Now, if you're a female, you happen to be watching this, and hello to all my, well, there's only a couple of them, female stalkers from around the world. Hi, thanks for joining in. So think of getting your nails done. They apply the color coat to it, and nowadays they typically will apply a clear coat to that color coat. So even though that color coat is shiny, when you apply a clear coat over that color coat, it's going to be shinier. And who doesn't like shinier? I love shinier. You probably love shinier. Well, that's one of the benefits of having a clear coat on your car, not that you actually have a choice. But with that, let me add this caveat. Repaint is different than factory clear coat. So if you were to damage your car, it was in a collision, and you took it to a body shop, a collision repair center, and they're going to repaint parts of your car, they will typically give you an option because you can still apply what is called an old school one stage or single stage paint job that has not been finished with a clear coat. The reason they still do this, it's about money. It will be cheaper to just apply the color, and it's a different formulation, by the way. So when you have a two-stage paint system, color, clear coat, it's going to be a different formulation. So when you have your car repainted and you choose to save a buck because you don't have extra bucks to give away, and you go with a single stage paint job, it still will be shiny, but there won't be the added protection and the added gloss of an applied clear coat to it. The most important thing of this moment to be aware of is called thickness, clear coat thickness. So at the factory, it's very controlled, and it will be uniform within a hundredths of an inch on your entire car. But when you go to a paint and body place, now it's applied by this thing called a human. Us humans, we get tired, we get lazy, we get distracted sometimes, and it's really hard to replicate, and by hard I mean impossible, to replicate the consistency that can take place at the factory. There's no way a human, I don't care how good they are, can apply the clear coat perfectly even on the entire panel, the entire surface, at a true uniform and even thickness on the entire car or the section that they're repainting. That means that they will tend to overcompensate because as a rule, there's going to be these things called little dirt nibs and texture that they're going to have to sand and buff after they repaint your car, and that's kind of accepted procedure. Not that it's a problem, it's just that they've got to compensate for that, so they will apply a thicker coat of clear coat, which is why if you watch videos on how to shop for a used car, you can get these rather inexpensive paint thickness gauge meters, and you can go around the car and you can very easily check to see if a section of the car has been repainted, because as a rule, that section that has been repainted will have a greater thickness than the rest of the car because it has been applied by a human, a fallible human. Okay, so third question in 15,439 words or less is, what do you need to know as a car owner? Well, I'm going to rattle off a few things here. First off, your car has clear coat on it. And by the way, the clear coat is not just isolated to your paint. For example, this car has clear coat on the trim, the metal trim. You could have clear coat, and it's usually the case, on your front headlights. Now you need to understand that, like everything else in life, nothing is created equal. So the car manufacturer will source this stuff in various places. So they may paint your car, the panels, at the factory, but the trim pieces may be actually produced elsewhere, and they will be clear coated at the original place rather than at the factory. Perhaps. It literally is a case by case. Just know that clear coat is a massively generalization. a clear coating, whatever it is that you're talking about. In this case, your car. But what I'm trying to illustrate is that clear coating can be everywhere. Your trim, your lights, your headlights. There really is no limitation as to where they put clear coating on it. And while you can allow that to spin your head out of control, you don't really need to do that. Let me elaborate a little further, because we have this thing called the detailing industry. It is filled with what I call pseudo-experts, fake experts, self-appointed guys that call themselves experts. They themselves, in order to differentiate themselves, create a distinction between them versus their competition. They tend to like to make little molehills into big fat mountains. So they will talk about endless things when it comes to your clear coat. How hard it is, how soft it is. Oh, foreign clear coats are harder than domestic clear coats, or German clear coats are the hardest of them all. Or wait, there's ceramic clear coats. Those are super duper hard. Not just super hard, but super duper hard. But what does that even mean? Hard clear coat? What if I want soft clear coat? What if I do want hard clear coat? Well, it's not like you actually have a choice. You don't have a special box when you're custom ordering your car at the dealership that says, oh, hard clear coat or soft clear coat. It doesn't work that way. And hard is only hard when it's compared to something softer. So if you're inexperienced, you won't even know if you have hard clear coat versus soft clear coat, because in the end, it really doesn't matter. Why you think it might matter is because you go on the forums and then your head explodes because you're reading all this information, endless opinions from endless people, endless so-called experts. Now, I'm an expert, but I'm not an expert in everything. I just happen to know my way around the car when it comes to its cosmetics. I will also add this. Any product that you may have sitting on your shelf that is designed for the cosmetics of your car, it could be a car wash soap, it could be a polish, it could be a wax, it could be a detailer. It matters not what the label says as to whether it's clear coat safe or not. If it was made for your car, and let's say for whatever reason you still have a product on your garage shelf that is 30 years old, maybe a Turtle Wax product, or maybe a Meguiar's product, and it doesn't say specifically on there that it's clear coat safe, and you may go into freak out mode. Oh my gosh, it doesn't say clear coat safe. I'm afraid to use it on my brand new car. I can promise you this, it's still safe for your car. It's not going to ruin your clear coat on your car. It will be safe. So that's just one of the many, many tactics that this industry likes to use, where they will prey upon your ignorance, they will create some fear, and then it will drive you to a specific direction, often over the cliff, that they want you to go into. And by cliff, what I really mean is them separating you from as much of your money as possible. And they just use tools of the trade called marketing, which is fear, ignorance, go down the list. So I hope you've learned a few things along the way today. And with that said, if you've even learned one thing today, yep, that's one, Darren, not three, but one. If you've learned a single thing in this video, I would like you to leave a comment below. Let me know what that is. I've now done a lot of work with my home office upstairs, my home office / studio, which I will be filming some videos in, as well as my garage studio behind me. It's not level 10 by any stretch, but I've put some work into it, which was the goal so that I can start producing these videos on a more regular basis and also engage with you guys a little further by answering some specific questions. So leave those questions below and give it a thumbs up. Yes, by all means, right now, give it a thumbs up if you learned something. And if you haven't subscribed yet, well, go for it. And don't smash the subscribe button. Just click on it or tap it, whatever rocks your world. And with that said, I will see you on the next video.